First he lost his hairline. How you lose this? It's bad, Buck. It's bad. Just live on Sunday. I'm gonna need that money by Monday.
That bar from 50 Cent hit different because not long after, young Buck's world started falling apart. Financial troubles, tax pressure, and even getting caught up in some legal issues that landed him in a tough spot. His whole career seemed to crumble piece by piece, and the truth behind why it all went down is way deeper than most fans ever realized. From the grind to the glory, let's take it from the start, because Buck's rise is one of the wildest stories in the game. Growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, young David Brown didn't have it smooth at all, my guy. He was constantly bouncing around as a kid, from Seafright in North Nashville to the J.C. Napier homes in the South, and then over to the South 7 projects. By the time he was just 8 years old, the kid already knew Nashville inside and out, from the east to the west, top to bottom. He was learning how to move smart in every neighborhood, seeing the ups and downs of street culture that would later shape his whole sound and energy. To bring in some cash and help out at home, Buck stayed on his grind in every honest way possible, pumping gas for tips, mowing lawns, washing cars, whatever he could do to get a few bucks in his pocket.
And out of my ordeal back in the streets, I ended up getting shot in a home invasion and a robbery. One in the arm and one in the upper thigh area. It was enough for me to wake up and really realize that, yo, if this shit keep going on like this, I'm either get killed or I'm gonna go to jail. And I really realized that because I was getting down for real. I really started to devote more of my time to the music then, the studio, period.
Music quickly became more than just a hobby. It was his way out, his peace of mind, his whole dream. He started freestyling with his day ones, taking on anybody bold enough to step up and battle. That raw talent started turning heads, and soon enough, his name was buzzing heavy in Nashville's underground hip-hop scene. Now this is where things start getting wild, the part that really shows Buck's early grind and that non-stop hunger to chase the bag. Buck and one of his close homies stumbled across a CD from BG Chopper City, and on the back cover, they spotted a phone number for Cash Money Records. These two young hustlers barely even knew the game yet, but they still picked up the phone and made the boldest move ever. They actually called that number and told Cash Money they wanted to book them for a show in Nashville for about $5 grand. Can you imagine? And somehow, against all odds, they pulled it off. The show never ended up happening, but what came next flipped Buck's whole life upside down in the best way possible. Birdman was so impressed by their guts and ambition that he invited Buck down to New Orleans to talk business and possibly make it official with Cash Money Records. At just 14 years old, Buck made one of the biggest choices of his entire life. He left school behind completely to chase his music dream full time. We're not here to judge that move, but it says everything about how serious and focused this dude was.
Ended up meeting everybody at Cash Money Records, and the first thing that Birdman told Buck was to spit a freestyle for him, and he put him up against Lil Wayne at that time, and they went back and forth. And that ended up impressing Birdman.
This wasn't just a side hobby or something for fun. This was his lifeline, his shot at turning his dreams into something real. The only real proof left from Buck's entire time with Cash Money is his cameo in the Big Timers, Big Ballin' music video. By 1999, though, things weren't lining up like he hoped. He was watching other artists rise while he sat in the background, waiting for his moment that never came. So he made the tough call to step away from Cash Money and head back to Nashville to carve his own lane, his own way, on his own terms.
Buck ended up coming on with them and hopefully having his situation figured out as well. But as years went on, Buck said he spent 3 to 4 years with Cash Money and none of his music ever got released. He got essentially put on the back burner while the other artists on Cash Money like Lil Wayne, Juvenile, BG, so on and so forth ended up blowing up.
Those years with Cash Money weren't a total loss, not at all. Buck picked up priceless knowledge about how the music game really works and built powerful connections that would help him later on. He crossed paths with legends like DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia and Juvenile, real ones who showed him how to move smart in this industry. When he got back to Nashville, Buck reconnected with his home team and went straight into grind mode. No big label, no budget, just pure hustle and determination. On August 22nd, 2000, he and his day one, D-Tay, dropped their joint project, Thuggin' Till the End. And what happened next turned heads all over. This independent drop actually hit the Billboard charts, landing at number 34 on the US R&B chart and number 17 on the independent chart. For an unsigned rapper coming straight out of Nashville, that was massive. Buck managed to move around 10,000 units on his own. And yeah, that might sound small compared to major label artists, But for a dude selling CDs out the trunk with no machine behind him, that was legendary. But beyond the numbers, what really mattered was the proof. The proof that his sound had a real audience and people were feeling what he had to say. It showed him this dream wasn't just fantasy, it was possible. Then came the turning point, the reality check that hit him hard and made him realize he couldn't play it safe anymore. He had to pick a lane and go all in. After bouncing back from a dangerous home break-in where he got caught up in the chaos, Buck made a powerful promise to himself. No more street distractions, no more slipping into risky moves. From that point on, it was all about music and nothing else. And just when he needed a real lifeline, opportunity knocked, once again tied to his old Cash Money connection. DJ Paul from 3-6, Mafia, who had always respected Buck's raw talent and sharp writing, heard what happened and decided to reach out personally. He linked Buck up with Project Pat, who pulled him from Nashville over to Memphis to jump in the studio and lay down some serious tracks. Those sessions birthed Buck's first big break, his debut placement on 3-6, Mafia's classic album, When the Smoke Clears, 66-61. That was the move that put Buck's name in real conversations across the South. It gave him the exposure he'd been chasing for years and opened doors that had once been locked shut. Even with all that momentum, though, Buck never officially signed with 3-6 Mafia. Instead, he headed back to Nashville to keep grinding on his own terms. But this time, he had more buzz, more respect, and more connections than ever before. But hold up, this story's just getting wild. Let's break down how Buck actually linked up with G-Unit, because that story right there is pure madness. After things started heating up again, his old connection Birdman, yeah, the same Birdman from Cash Money, came calling with a brand new offer. By this point, Cash Money had gone next level. Big offices, exotic rides, and success everywhere you looked. Birdman wanted Buck to be part of a new squad he was putting together called Headbusters. Buck hopped a flight back to New Orleans ready to make magic, but history started repeating itself, and not in a good way. No cap. After chilling for about a week waiting for things to actually move, Buck started realizing nothing was adding up. No paperwork, no contract, no official talks, just promises floating in the air. He wasn't that same young kid who used to wait on others to make things happen anymore. He was a grown man now, with bills to pay and people depending on him back home. He didn't have time to sit around hoping someone would finally keep their word. Then fate stepped in and flipped everything. Out of nowhere, Juvenile pulled up to the Cash Money offices, and he was straight up shocked to see Buck still sitting there waiting. At that time, Juve himself was going through a major transition, handling his own issues with Cash Money, trying to figure out his next move. That's when he made Buck a life-changing offer to come rock with him under his new label, UTP Records. Buck officially joined Juvenile's camp and started working under the UTP banner. But here's where you see just how sharp and calculated Buck really was.
Juve happened to pull up at the office, and when he pulled up, he was kind of shocked to see me there. I'm like, I've been here for a whole week. And he was like, man, you want to get up out of here for a minute? You know what I'm saying? And I took that ride with Juve, and that's where my career started with.
When Juvenile handed him the contract to make it official, Buck took it home, slid it under his bed, and never signed it. Real talk, that's a power move right there. It showed he was learning from the past and wasn't about to get locked into another deal that might trap him later. During that time, Buck dropped 2 solid projects, Born to Be a Thug on October 10th, 2002, and a group tape with the UTP Players just 2 days before that. But technically, he was never tied down on paper. Why? Because he was paying attention. He saw how messy things were getting between Juvenile and Cash Money, and he knew better than to jump headfirst into another unstable situation. Smart move, because what came next was about to put him in front of the entire world. At one point, Juvenile straight up told Buck, if something better comes your way, go get it. And that advice would change everything. During one of their tours, the UTP Cruise bus made a stop in New York, and this was back in 2002 when 50 Cent had the whole city on fire. He was the most talked about name in the streets, the mixtape king. Everybody wanted to be around that energy. Now here's where destiny kicked in. The tour bus driver just happened to have a personal connect with 50's former manager, Shaw Money XL. Buck, being the hustler he is, kept asking him non-stop to see if there was any way to link up with 50. Maybe cook up a track or two, just to see what would happen. And guess what? It actually went down. 50 Cent pulled up to the tour bus, but here's the twist. He was there to record with Juvenile, not Buck. While 50 and Juvie were locked in at the back of the bus laying down music, Buck played it smooth and made a slick move of his own. He started playing some of his solo records for Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo, who were chilling in the front of the bus. One track in particular caught Banks' ear. He couldn't ignore it. Banks grabbed that beat and brought it straight to the back of the bus where 50 was recording. 50 vibed with it immediately, jumped on the track, and that record turned into Bloodhound, one of the standout cuts on the legendary Get Rich or Die Trying album. And here's a fun fact, that wasn't even their first song together. The very first time 50, Buck, Banks, and Yayo all appeared on the same joint was actually A Lil Bit of Everything, off 50's 50 Cent is the Future mixtape. That moment right there was the spark that changed Buck's entire career forever. Bloodhound was the record that officially put young Buck on the map, the one that introduced him to the mainstream world. 50 Cent instantly saw something real in Buck. At the time, though, 50 couldn't sign him just yet. He didn't even have a major deal himself. But one thing about 50, he never forgets real talent. So, when Buck's situation with UTP eventually fell apart, just like he knew it would, fate stepped in again and lined things up perfectly. Not long after, 50 hit Buck up with the kind of call every rapper dreams about. He wanted to fly him out to Los Angeles to meet Eminem and Dr. Dre. This was the big leagues, the kind of opportunity that could flip a man's life overnight. And for Buck, who had already faced so many setbacks, it felt like the moment he had been grinding for since day one. Once everything was official, Buck joined G-Unit and his first major feature with them was, you guessed it, Bloodhound off 50's classic Get Rich or Die Trying album. But 50 wasn't rushing things. He had a strategy. Instead of dropping Buck's solo project right away, he decided to first introduce him properly to the world through a full G-Unit group album. That move set the stage perfectly. The project was Beg for Mercy, and it turned out to be a monster hit. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, moving a wild 377,000 copies in the first week. To this day, it sold over 2.7 million copies in the US alone and is close to diamond numbers worldwide. That was it. Young Buck had officially arrived on the biggest platform possible, and the entire rap scene was tuned in. Following the G-Unit playbook to the letter, Buck dropped his own mixtape Welcome to the Hood on May 31st, 2004, hosted by DJ Who Kid, heating up the streets and building hype for his solo debut. Then came the first single, Let Me In, featuring 50 Cent, and that joint went crazy, peaking at number 34 on the Billboard Hot 100. And then came the big one. August 24th, 2004, Buck dropped his debut album Straight Outta Cashville, and the results were nothing short of legendary. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, selling 361,000 copies in the first week and eventually going platinum. The kid from Nashville had made it all the way to the top, and the world couldn't stop watching. Buck's second single, Shorty Wanna Ride, went crazy, becoming his highest charting solo record ever, landing at number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100. But beyond the sales and plaques, Buck did something way bigger. He broke what people used to call the Nashville curse. For years, folks claimed no non-country artist from Nashville could ever reach the top, especially in hip-hop. But Buck smashed that wall wide open. He became the first rapper from his city to gain major mainstream success, putting Nashville on the hip-hop map once and for all. Then came one of the wildest nights of his entire career, November 15th, 2004, at the Vibe Awards. The event was stacked with legends, Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent, the entire G-Unit squad, and even Suge Knight were all in the building. But before the night could even settle, chaos broke out. A man named Jimmy James Johnson allegedly tried to put his hands on Dr. Dre, and things spiraled fast. Reports claimed that Young Buck stepped in and got physical trying to protect his camp. After the chaos, Buck left the scene and laid low for a bit before turning himself in just a few days later. It took over a year for the case to finally wrap up, and Buck walked away with 3 years of probation and community service hours. Thankfully, it didn't turn into something worse, but it was a moment that showed just how deep Buck's loyalty ran, even when that same loyalty could have cost him everything. Still, Buck wasn't letting anything stop his grind. By 2005, he was back to putting in work and keeping his name hot in the streets. That same year, he linked up once again with 3 6 Mafia on their massive hit Stay Fly, which exploded on the charts, hitting number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going double platinum. It proved Buck wasn't just surviving through the chaos, he was thriving, turning every moment, good or bad, into another reason to win. By 2014, 50 Cent was starting to rebuild bridges with his old crew, Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, and yes, even Young Buck. For years, fans thought G-Unit would never stand on one stage again. But on June 1st, 2014, everything changed. During Hot 97 Summer Jam, 50 shocked the entire crowd when he brought out all 3 original G-Unit members, and the place went absolutely insane. The official G-Unit reunion had finally happened. Not long after, they dropped 2 joint EPs, The Beauty of Independence on August 25th, 2014, and The Beast is G-Unit on March 3rd, 2015. Both projects delivered pure heat, reminding everyone of the chemistry that once dominated hip-hop. For a moment, it really felt like the team was back together for good, and fans were living for it. Meanwhile, Buck was on his own grind too, showing unmatched work ethic with his ambitious 10 series of mixtapes. 10 bullets, 10 bricks, 10 pints, 10 bodies, and more between 2015 and 2018. He was proving that no matter what setbacks came his way, the passion never left. But unfortunately, life threw him another curveball. In July 2016, Buck ran into more legal trouble after a heated argument turned into a bad situation. He ended up serving several months away, which put another pause on his momentum. But Buck came out ready to rebuild again. In 2018, he dropped the single Can't Lose, a fire track that showed he still had that hunger in his voice. Around that time, Buck even announced his 3rd studio album, which was supposed to be executive produced by 50 Cent and Dr. Dre. That news alone had fans going crazy with excitement. But just when it seemed like the G-Unit magic might truly return, things took another turn for the worse. 50 claimed Buck owed him over $300,000 and reportedly blocked any new music Buck tried to release, hitting him with legal paperwork that froze his plans. Then, in 2019, a leaked private phone conversation surfaced online and instantly went viral, sparking a wave of public embarrassment. 50 didn't hold back either. He clowned Buck publicly on social media, adding tension to an already messy situation. By 2020, that once powerful G-Unit bond was completely broken again, and any talk of a full reunion seemed impossible. It was another painful reminder that fame, loyalty, and pride don't always mix well in this game. After years of ups and downs, Buck found himself back in a legal storm. He ended up filing for bankruptcy again, this time to break free from his old contract and dodge a lawsuit from 50 Cent. But after a long and exhausting court fight, things didn't go his way. In 2023, Buck agreed to pay a little over $200,000 out of the $250,000 debt being claimed. To make it happen, he had to sell off assets worth around $1.05 million, with nearly $500,000 going straight to legal fees and the rest divided among creditors. It was another tough chapter, but Buck kept pushing forward. Then, in April 2025, his name hit the headlines again when he was taken in for repeated bond supervision violations connected to a 2020 case. He ended up doing 30 days behind bars and was released around May 12, 2025. Now his court hearing has been pushed to early 2026, but this time it seems like Buck's head is in a completely different space. He's been active on social media, posting about his growth, his peace, and celebrating the 18th anniversary of Straight Outta Cashville. You can tell he's focused on his future now. Less drama, more progress. It feels like he's finally finding balance after everything he's been through, determined to build a legacy that lasts way beyond the chaos. So, what do you think about young Buck's roller coaster story? Has he finally found his peace, or is there still more to come? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure to subscribe. We've got way more stories like this coming your way. See you in the next one.